Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. That's all I have to say. Wow, it's let me turn down the music here for a second. Yeah, I'm a little late today. Sorry, just by a few minutes. I had to wrap up episode 3 of The Rings of Power, and Alan is in the field. He is at D23 in Anaheim, California. It's the big Disney Expo. He's going to tell us all about it. I just realized that just speaking right now are the first words I've said today, and I'm pre-coffee. This is going to be interesting. Hope you're all doing well. We've got films to review. Today, we're going to be talking about Barbarian. Also, the Disney Plus film with Tom Hanks, Pinocchio. Yeah, we're going to discuss it. Also, Rings of Power episode 3. We're going to discuss that a little bit. And we have a very special guest with us today. We have Neil LaBute. He is the director of a film called House of Darkness. Very excited to have him here with us today. And I am moderator free, so I don't know how this is going to go. Got no one backing us up, and Alan's not here. I will do my best, so please, I appreciate your patience in this. Let's get things started. Let's get the show started right now, because I'm in need of some Alan time here. Let's go.
Alan, how's it going?
Hey, there we go. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Literally, D23 is supposed to open in just a few minutes, so we'll be rushing the crowd. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you are live in Anaheim. Actually, it looks pretty good. Your camera looks
It does. Oh, thanks.
All
Yeah,
right,
nice strong internet signal.
Let me put your full screen here so we can see what you're up to.
Yeah.
Okay, so
There we
look,
go.
there's all the Disney nerds. And Alan. Oh my God.
I know. Surprisingly, if anyone does have D23 tickets, now's a really good time to come. It's not as crowded as I thought it would be.
Well, it's Friday. It's the opening day of
Yeah.
the event, so I don't think that it's going to be super crowded today for you. But yeah, wait, I had a banner just there we go. Alan Gone Wild at D23 Expo. What are you hoping to see? So tomorrow's going to be the Fantastic Four cast.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm showing up really early in the morning and getting in line for the Marvel panel.
So okay,
tonight,
what is expected at the Marvel panel? What are we going to hear?
they're not saying a whole lot. Of course, they're not going to release it. You can go by the rumors. Already they're leaking. Rumors are out there of the cast of the Fantastic Four. I think they're going to fill in phase 6, the phase that was pretty much empty when
Really?
Comic-Con.
Huh.
That's the rumor. I really don't know what they're going to show, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of cast announcements. I would bet the cast of Wakanda Forever is going to be here.
John Manalang, who's a member, says, I see that Disney's check finally cleared again. Spend it wisely, Alan. Okay, so wait, Really Old Movie says they aren't mandating masks here, but they did at San Diego Comic-Con and WonderCon.
Yep. Yeah, look at that.
What is that?
Yeah, I probably see in my like maybe 5 masks on.
Right.
It's so basically the word we got was masks are highly encouraged, and if you're going to interact with the talent, they're going to want you to wear a mask.
Okay, so you
So
have to wear a mask if you talk to talent.
yeah,
Basically, to show your station.
yeah, exactly.
You are the underling. You are the unclean. And if you talk to a star, they don't have to wear a mask. I think that that's kind of bullshit, if you ask.
Yeah,
It's
well,
so obvious and overt. It's like such a classist bullshit thing. We're the elites. We don't have to wear masks. You have to wear a mask in front of me. God, I hate this crap.
yeah.
So
You know, all that said, it's a whole lot better than San Diego Comic-Con.
yeah,
You know,
San Diego Comic-Con was kind of I didn't spend a lot of time actually in the hall itself. I was like out and about around in the city where nobody cared. It's so funny, you
yeah.
could just like leave and just go to a restaurant or go to any other gathering of people, and there were no masks required at
Mhm.
when you were out at San Diego Comic-Con. But actually
Oh,
in
yeah.
the convention hall where you're gonna go buy stuff, you couldn't do anything. Anyways, all right.
I'm just glad I'm not wearing it here, and we're going to the exhibit hall and not gonna have to wear it in there either.
Yeah, Toasty Danny says, "Wow, wear masks in front of us peasants." So funny. All right, well, hail to the chat, Alan. I'm gonna put you small screen for a second,
Yeah, that's fine.
and then I'm gonna. But what else? So you're gonna be doing reports on the members stream, on the members tabs
Yeah.
only. You'll be posting videos and pictures.
Yeah, videos and pictures.
I can't wait to see those.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get some of the Princess and the Frog news, so that'll go up. I know because everyone's excited about the good changes happening at Disneyland.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, well, I'm going to talk about. You didn't get to see the Rings of Power episode 3, did you?
No, I did. Oh my gosh.
You did. Let's
Yeah,
talk
I'm
about it,
so-
Alan. Let's talk about it. If you could maybe stow yourself away in a corner.
Yeah.
I just don't care about these characters. I feel like that was the flaw of the first 2 episodes, were that, I just wasn't invested.
Yeah.
I didn't, so, and Galadriel is particularly insufferable this episode. She meets the Queen of Numenor and she's very insolent towards her. It's like her whole justification is like, it's okay that I'm an asshole to everybody because I have a larger goal that's bigger, and you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't
And the
understand.
elves gave you this land too.
Yeah, it's just the reason the show is really not working for me is, and at a certain point, like it's not her dialogue. The dialogue they give her is just awful. There's nothing she does that endears you to her. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about the dialogue, but you're right. This series, I'm so annoyed and frustrated. I'm about to give it the it's worse than Kenobi feeling.
Whoa!
I think, and I'll tell you why. The dialogue is just as bad, but it's pretentious as hell. It's sorry, we're being walked in. Yeah, so the issue I have is that the dialogue, it's like someone's trying to write Shakespeare, and they don't understand Shakespeare. They're fluffing up and flowering things. There was a line in there like, even the tallest milkweed gets snipped. I mean, what kind of line is that? What kind of illusion are you? And it's just full of that. The watery, something about the watery healing powers of the watery fluids, the healing power. Who speaks like that? Shakespeare would never say anything like that. And the thing that frustrates me the most about it is this dialogue. It's all exposition focused. It's all meant to move the narrative along rather than say something, rather than truly tell a story about people, about the land, about what's really going on. It's about what's next on our journey. What's next with the action. And this is again like Kenobi. It's just horrible dialogue and horrible storytelling.
One thing on the positive side, I mean, it looks good. I would say that this episode looks better than the previous two. No, in terms of just like it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
The effect,
they copied Peter Jackson well.
They just made everything grand and huge and great, wild and whatever, and But yeah, no, I guess I'm just not like invested. So there's Galadriel's story, and she's just, relentlessly on this quest,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And she's got basically trapped in Numenor now. She's quote a prisoner, but not really a prisoner, because she gets to go to a library, which is ridiculous. Oh, you're going in right now.
Yes, man. Look at that. Hulk smash people.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Show us some stuff. Show us some stuff while I talk about the show. But like, then there were the Harfoots, which I feel like they just really didn't define them. And everything they're so melodramatic. We're at the back of the line. Nori and her family, and basically, Gandalf. It's got to be Gandalf or some type of wizard are now the back of the line. And so that's super melodramatic for them. And I guess I'm just not super invested. I'm not really invested. And I think that's the problem, is because those first two episodes didn't grab me. It's like, well, okay. And then there's why am I? It's probably because there's just all these characters I got to learn right off the top. The one elf, the black elf, which I even hate referring to him as the black elf. I actually think he's not a terrible actor.
Well, he's technically Afro-Latino.
Is he? I don't know.
I believe so.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if you're a good actor. I don't really care. But his whole conflict where they basically play tug of war with the orcs.
It's very simple. It's very plain. I get the Harfoot thing is about keeping up with the crowd. It's about friendship, I guess. I'm just I mentioned it last time. I am just not into the series whatsoever, and I Tolkien deserves a whole lot better than what they're giving us.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see the hall is nearly empty as people shuffle in on a Friday.
Well, granted, there's it's the D20, the Disney Legacy event is going on, and there's a lot of people in line for that one.
So are you going to see the Disney Legacy event?
No, I'm with you guys for that one.
Okay, good.
But the entire cast of Frozen is being inducted into the D23 Legacy program here.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, let's get right to it. We have Glanuccio here modding today. We appreciate that. Glenn was able to make it. He's gonna bail early though. I think he's gonna have to bail early, which is fine. So if you're interested in being a moderator, we could just use someone to be a backup. So let me know. Go to filmthreat.com/contact. Hit me up. If you have some experience, we could use a backup moderator. Glenn could use some time off. He's been working hard lately. Very hard lately. You see how he made what I think is the greatest thumbnail ever for a video to ever appear on YouTube with Lynn Shay. I don't know if it's gone up yet, but oh my God, I can't wait for you to see it. All right, let's go to the chat here real quick. Rings of Power episode 3. Your mileage may vary. If you didn't like the show, you're not going to like it more. So there you go. I'm going to mute you, Alan, just because it's just a little loud in the hall there. John Long last name became a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Todd Packer, can we talk about Galadriel giving the F me eyes to bad boy Sauron? Isn't it Halbrand? He's not Sauron, he's Halbrand, right? Todd Packer goes on to say she was hurting for a squarting. I don't know what that means. We'll see. Barbarian looks good. Not all is lost, said Luad CM20. Yes, I've seen Barbarian. I'm going to talk about it later. Loved it. It was my second time seeing the film. Strong recommendation to see that in a theater. Do not watch this on video on demand. It'll come out on video on demand. I'm couple months, whatever. Don't do that. So it's pretty much my review there. All right, yeah. Look at that. That's costumes. That's costumes from Indy 5. Wait, I gotta unmute Alan. Alan, tell us about. So this is Indiana. They're already.
This is all.
Indiana Jones 5.
Yes, they're announcing June 30th next year. But here's the female protagonist.
Wow.
Yeah, female protagonist. Yeah. So I'm gonna head.
Make sure to take pictures of this and post them. All right.
Yeah.
On the channel.
All right.
Great. Some more chats here. We'll get through some more chats. Heliku, so yeah, sometimes there's okay parts on the series, but then Galadriel comes on and tickles the wrong nerves on me by being so unelfish and bad. She just seems like she doesn't care about, like, Halbrand was trying to sit there and, like, you could be diplomatic or you can be an asshole. And she chose to be an asshole to the Queen of Numenor, whose name escapes me. So I'll learn all the names eventually. It might take me a couple more hate watches.
I sort of wish they'd give us just English names. Something simple names, maybe.
Or at least, Rhaenyra, Daenerys, Rhaenyra, Daemon, all the Targaryen names. Toasty Danny, in the words of Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media, I just can't take it anymore. John Manilang, Alan's currently laughing his way to the bank at D23. Yeah, Alan, did you bring a cart for all your money?
Yeah, well, I brought a satchel, but come to think of it, I am going to need a bigger bag.
They'll give you a bag.
Everywhere I go, they're just throwing money at me for some reason.
There you go. Is that a new Film Threat shirt, Chris? Actually, this is a shirt that is not available for purchase. The artwork is by Chris Prynoski. And here, I'll put myself full screen for a second. Chris Prynoski did this artwork. It's Slate Boy shaking his fist at a movie theater marquee, and there is a squid monster. And this was when we did a crowd fund, and he did the artwork. One of the giveaways was a T-shirt for our crowd fund. That was a custom shirt. I think we only printed like 500 of these, and like that was it. That was it. I see that John Manilang. I see that Disney's check finally cleared. Spend it wisely, Alan. Hail, Alan. No mask requirement, says Eric Jimenez. Akanika says, Alan, always a good sport with good humor. Smile emoji. Thank you, Akanika, for being a member. Eric Jimenez, try reviewing Pinocchio in front of something Pinocchio related, Alan. Yeah, Solomon Thornton, this is not a surprise. Okay, Solomon Thornton says, so she's a Mary Sue? Like a Mary Sue by way of Karen, and that's not me saying that. A lot of people have said that in the reviews. Fat Elvis, bright side, almost halfway through the season. Yeah, you're right. There's only 8 episodes, so it's going to end quickly. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Amanda Nowicki, who's a member, thank you. Galadriel demanded to speak to the manager, even while speaking to the manager. Oh, yeah, that scene was just like, wait, what's her strategy? Like, if her goal is to leave, did she not learn to be diplomatic? Like, I don't get, like, this is a quality we're supposed to admire. Adam Iglesias saw Pinocchio last night. While the CGI is not as good and some elements were not good, I was charmed with it, watched it with my family. Pinocchio himself and Tom Hanks are the highlight of the movie. Well, I'm sorry, Adam. We disagree. I'm gonna get into it. We'll get into Pinocchio next. Amanda Wiki, the Harfoots are slowly killing each other by leaving them behind. Yeah, I don't understand that's like, well, in Harfoot land, if you're at the back of the line, too bad for you. It's like a death sentence. It's pretty stupid, actually. I don't know why that is. Shelby AC, it seems like it's written by people who didn't actually read any of the classics because they don't see them as worth reading. Huh. Hey, I see a lot of cosplay there, Alan. Guy Ladriel, spastic lip twitching sneer, says Akanika. Yeah, that's a thing. Isn't that like a...
I don't know if you, sorry, I don't know if you saw it, but the next Pixar movie will go straight to streaming.
Really? What? What movie?
It's called Win or Lose.
Win or Lose? They
Yeah.
really are. I kind of feel like... Is that Turning Red? Is that...
Yeah, it's Turning Red. I'm at the Pixar booth right now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else? So Elemental. What's
Yeah, I'm trying
Elemental?
to find Elemental. I think that's the theme of the booth. Well, no. It looks
Great.
like it might be a movie. Yeah. There's characters there.
Why don't you go
we'll
closer
see.
to it?
Some guys in my shot. Yeah, Elemental. So it looks like a movie. Is this a movie or? Okay. Okay, so Elemental will come out next year, 2023. All right, let's see if I can go. Hey, here's our favorite movie, Lightyear. and then there's the better movie. Cars on the Road. Okay. So I guess there's two movies coming out. One's coming to theaters. One's coming to streaming. Oh, it's a series. It's actually a Pixar series. So I just saw this.
I'll get through a few of these super chats here, and then we're gonna. I love that from Haunted Mansion. It's great. Your Barmy, your rebar my, you rebar my. I don't know. It could be one of the. The Harfoots are secretly the people from Midsummer. Makes sense. Running with scissors, Harfoots. We don't leave people on the trail. Next scene, people we left on the trail. Next scene, we are leaving you on the trail. WTF, TWF, that was exactly. I was so confused. It's like the stuff that the Harfoots do it just defies logic. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it seems to contradict itself. It's like no one was paying attention when they were so focused on the visuals and how the show looked that they aren't paying attention to logic and what would make sense. CD Stein 69 for $9.99. We've seen the attack on fans ramping up from Amazon Bros to justify their horrible show. Same old racist, sexist garbage. I'm convinced Tolkien is cussing in the afterlife right now. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up on screen in a second. The Harfoots are boring. It takes a poor show and makes it worse, says Robert Thompson Watson. Yeah, when it's so funny, like for a while, it's just like, oh, I was kind of like interested in some of the things that were going on, but then the Harfoots would come. It's like, the Harfoots would come out and just sort of break the flow of the whole show. I think there's just too many threads, and at some point they have to connect because I just don't care. Phil W for $4.99. Is Alan going to talk to Todd McFarlane? If so, can you ask him about the Spawn movie?
Yeah, if I run into Todd McFarlane, I'll ask him.
Okay, cool.
Hey, the thing about Rings of Power, the thing that bothers me the most, I have no idea where this is going. They're talking about this rumor of some evil that's coming, but all we see is orcs, a little bit of evil here and there. But what direction is this headed? Where is this point that we're going to? It's third episode in, it's still all set up. Now that we're at Numenor.
Well, and perhaps you've seen this on. I'll read it. It's from the Lord of the Rings on Prime. It's LOTR on Prime on Twitter. It says, "We stand in solidarity with our cast. # you are all welcome here." And then the Star Wars official Twitter account, actually says, "From Middle Earth to a galaxy far, far away, you are all welcome here." And here's what they made a statement. It's like on 3 cards. I'll read it if you can't see it, but I'm bringing it up on Twitter. It says, "We, the cast of the Rings of Power, stand together in absolute solidarity against the relentless racism, threats, harassment, and abuse some of our castmates of color are being subjected to on a daily basis. We refuse to ignore it or tolerate it." So, according to them, the castmates of color, as they are calling them, are being harassed online. I've been harassed online. I don't think I know anyone who's been online that has not been harassed. Now, if I think the best disinfectant is to just expose those people. If there are certain Twitter accounts that are going after them, well, then report them to Twitter, right? Or what I used to do when people would harass me online, I would just retweet them and make them look like idiots. So, but again, what's weird is there are other shows that are out there, and this is why this happened with Star Wars, when people did not like Reva, they just didn't like that character. And then, the Star Wars Twitter account accused Star Wars fans of being racist, the racist Star Wars fans. These are the same fans that wanted Lando Calrissian to please be in the Star Wars sequels. Please bring back Billy D. Williams. Same fans. This statement, it's really offensive to me when I see this, because I think, well, first of all, weed out those people if they even exist. For all we know, they could be bots. Who knows? Show it. Bring it into the light. They go on to say in a second card, J.R.R. Tolkien created a world which by definition is multicultural, a world in which free peoples from different races and cultures join together in fellowship to defeat the forces of evil. Rings of Power reflects that. Our world has never been all white. Fantasy has never been all white. Middle Earth is not all white. Why do they have to say that even? Why do they have to say all white? So weird. BIPOC.
What bothers me the most? What bothers me the most is when they say the cast of color. Okay, there's one Asian in there, so hey, there's our color, and I could care less about this whole diversity debate or the gender or race swapping, but when you call yourselves out as being diverse and being including everyone, and you only have one Asian who appears for 10 seconds in your show, that speaks to the hypocrisy of this whole movement.
BIPOC belong in Middle Earth and they are here to stay. Okay, it's fine. Finally, all our love and fellowship go out to the fans supporting us, especially fans of color, spelled in the British way, especially fans of color who are themselves being attacked simply for existing in this fandom. We see you, your bravery and endless creativity, your cosplays, fan cams, fan art, and insights make this community a richer place and remind us of our purpose. You are valid, you are loved, and you belong. You are an integral part of the LOTR family. Thanks for having our backs. Namare, whatever that means. This I don't know. This just annoys me because what it does is it's incredibly divisive. I want to see what some of the comments are. Dempsey, them. We are against racism. Also them. We want less whiteness. Wow. It was just weird that it's like almost it's a very divisive statement, but we should be used to that by now. We should be used to divisive statements by now. It seems to be the thing that is people feel like they need to say. B. Hamilton, Rings of Power makes me want to root for Sauron to win. Buford T. Justice for 1999. Canon and lore matter and are inseparable from cohesive storytelling. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is just a code for cultural vandalism. R.I.P. Tolkien. And as heel versus babyface for 100 pounds. Wow. Alan has to give it up. Alan has to give it up right here. As you didn't have to do that, but I have to say thank you for that. The Harfoots are community theater level of acting. Yeah, it's comically bad, and then the worst part is you could fix bad acting with some really surgical editing. You can fix their bad actors that have been made better actors by editing, but it's almost like they insist on including everything that they shot. It's just bizarre. So yeah, it's weird how that thread is just so much worse than the rest of the show. And Kevin Rubio for 5, dude, if you can't take this anymore, then why are you still watching? I stopped at 2 episodes. Well, Kevin, because people want to hear us discuss it. I literally asked people, I said, I don't really care to watch it. And I asked our audience, almost 500 people watching right now, thank you for tuning into Film Threat on your Friday morning. I would just remind you to please with almost 500 people watching, please like this stream and subscribe if you're oh wow, please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Alan, where are you now? Okay. But yeah, no, I get it, like Kevin, but people wanted us to continue to talk about it, so we're going to continue to talk about it. And thank you so much, man. Not the Batman. So when they say harassment and never show it, Alan, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear? Okay. If you hear music in the background, let me know so we don't get copyright struck.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. I don't hear music.
Okay, great.
So when they say harassment and never show it, they mean criticism. That's my thing. Is what this is a shield against criticism. Are they having the same problems?
They're immune to it now. They're immune to criticism right now. You can't say a damn thing about it. You can't be constructive about it. I think we're being the most constructive about this series than anything else. And we'll be labeled a racist for it.
Yeah. Running with Scissors says, I'm nobody. And even I've been harassed online. Lol. Yeah, if you've ever been in if you ever played a game, like you ever played like Halo, you're gonna get harassed. Or Call of Duty, you're gonna get harassed.
You're gonna have a YouTube show, you get harassed.
If you're gonna do a YouTube show, you're gonna get harassed. I'll see the comments. It's like, oh, okay, well, people, they don't like what we say. That's fine. I mean, I don't like personal attacks, but they happen. Whatever. People say they don't like my hair. Those people are wrong. I have amazing hair. 500 people watching the channel right now. That's great.
You're welcome, everybody.
You are, you know what? You are welcome here on the stream to talk about how bad the Rings of Power is. You are welcome to discuss it. We don't judge. Luther Talbert for 10, who's a member, isn't saying all whites show their own prejudice and stereotyped way of thinking. Correct. Ding, ding, ding. Bingo. That's a bingo. Also, what percentage of mean tweets are coming from their supporters, in your opinion, Chris? I don't know. Like, for my health, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. Oh, it's usually when someone tells me, hey, you should look at Twitter. And I look at Twitter for like breaking news, right? Like if something happened, Twitter's actually maybe the one thing it does that doesn't annoy me is, there's breaking news or something happening in the world. So boom, you actually get that news. Adjay, as a black person myself, it's very insulting that they think that I can only enjoy a show if a character has the same skin color as me. I'll stick to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah, I will say to that, like, the whole purpose of fiction is to see yourself through someone else's eyes, right? So, for example, is this saying that, like, a white audience can't enjoy the Black Panther? I mean, or, Wakanda Forever? Like, is that not for me? I don't care. I mean, I like blaxploitation movies. You ever see blaxploitation movies? They're fun. They're really fun. The white people are usually the bad guys in those movies, but I find those movies incredibly entertaining. And really old movies.
I will say white people are very creative, and they put out great movies over the last several decades, almost a century now.
Right.
I enjoy white people content, and I will continue to enjoy the content of the Caucasians.
Well, Alan, I enjoy the Asian content. Can I just say I love South Korean movies, Japanese films, Chinese films, even.
Yes, but you don't see yourself in those movies. That's my problem.
I don't, and I don't care. I grew up watching, like, one of the shows I never missed as a kid was Ultraman.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Ultraman?
Yeah, I remember Ultraman. Johnny Sacco and
Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. I watched those shows as a kid, loved it. I wanted to be Johnny Sacco because I was around the same age. So
yeah, even though they were Japanese, I enjoyed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they're Japanese, but he had that cool watch. He could control the giant robot, have him fight monsters. I mean, look, this is cheesy stuff, but as a kid, I loved it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really stupid, and it's really just ignorant to say you should only be able to identify with someone who looks like you is a stupid statement. What you need to do is broaden your horizon and look for films from all over the world. And I never noticed that stuff. I was always like, well, I'm engaged with this character or this person and their journey, and I want to not be myself for 2 hours. I just don't want to be. I want to like escape my mundane life. I want to go into some fantasy, and there's a character that I'll somehow be drawn to, you know? Like, I love Yoda's probably my favorite character in Star Wars. Luke Skywalker's a character I love, you know, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, but Yoda I love. I don't even know what the fuck Yoda is. They've never, in all of Star Wars, even The Mandalorian, I believe they never talked about what the species is.
Never species, yeah.
I'll bet it's in like the extended universe stuff. Someone in the chat is gonna correct me.
Yeah.
But
I will say, if you want to escape woke messaging, go see foreign films. That's
not the Batman.
By the way, did you read that last message there?
Oh no, sorry. Did I read it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Really Old Movie says, how is calling someone a person of color any different than saying colored person? It's the same words rearranged, the punctuation changed, but nonetheless the same thing. It's weird.
Don't get me going about that one.
No, but it's weird how, like, the language has changed. Like, you know, Joe Biden has used the term Negro, which is weird. I find that weird, but it's sort of, I guess, the era he grew up. My grandparents would say colored people. Then I was told African American, like whatever the correct. I'm fine with that. I don't care. You know, like
I mean, Negro was very 60s, early 70s, mid 70s,
right?
And then became black. Yeah.
And then and just like I don't know, my friends that are black, just first of all, they don't care. They say black. They don't use. I don't think they. I don't know. We don't really talk about it all that much because we just talk about other stuff. CD Stein 69 for $4.99. Good to hear you become Chowdo's support sponsor to help him wean off being optimistic about modern shows. Chowdo and I have had Paul Chowdo, Call Me Chowdo, his channel. We've just been having some conversations about like modern, you know, TV and film and whatever, and what's been going on. And I sort of like said, hey, look at it from this perspective. You know, I don't expect like, you know, like if you compare it to food, like, okay, I would love to go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse every day for dinner. It's not what I'm going to do. Sometimes I'm going to have, you know, a Big Mac. I'm just going to have a cheeseburger and have some In-N-Out. So
well, he calls you out big time in his latest She-Hulk video.
Oh, did he call me out personally?
Yeah, his frustration with the last one was how Madison is the best character so far in this entire series.
Oh yeah, I know, I love it. I think they should just do a Madison show. Just her Zelig-like adventures in the Marvel universe
with Wong.
Yeah, her and Wong. Yeah, make it a show. I ship them or whatever the thing is. But no, it's just look, you know, like I don't have a lot of high expectations. Disney Plus, I have not liked any of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, and so there you go. With the exception of like She-Hulk, I'm getting some giggles. I didn't expect to like it. And Alan, what do you think about She-Hulk?
Yeah, it is the best series that Disney Plus has put out. Maybe compared to Mandalorian, we can argue about that. But again, the bar is very low. I do enjoy She-Hulk. I enjoy the fact, and I will agree. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're doing things that the other series aren't doing, and I think I appreciate that, and I have a more propensity to like the show than everything else. I'm after watching the second time, it's like, okay, I get that the comedy is not the greatest. That they certainly could have gotten some veteran joke writers, but this whole Madison Wong thing, I'm enjoying and I'm eating it up.
All right, let's go to some more comments here. Scott says, forget skin tone. I'm personally offended by editing of the action scenes. And Chris is a total Harry Sue, says Andrew Eterno. And then Scott goes on to say, we connect to universal human archetypes, not skin color. Bingo. What a sad worldview these people have. Yeah, but the thing is this, like, you know, like people eat that stuff up. But what it does is it just further divides people. Mm-hmm. It just further divides people. It's completely unnecessary. And Goober says, can't have Caucasian without Asian. So there you go.
Yeah.
Fletcher Williams asks, How empty is it?
What?
How empty is it, the hall?
It's, like I said, most of the people are at the Disney Legacies ceremony right now. So, and that's happening at this moment. It's not bad. In fact, if you are going to D23, come right now. You'll get, when you walk the exhibit hall, there are no lines to all the photo ops and the, it's going to be insane tomorrow. You're going to be standing on a lot of lines tomorrow. If you get here right now, you're going to be able to experience all of D23 by the afternoon.
Okay. Let's see. Andrea Susie says, no, don't forget skin tone. It's the reality of that fictitious world, just as it is in ours. These are tribes. Tribes have homogeneity. Fantasy villages don't look like modern cities. It's stupidity. I hear your point. Dempsey, I think it is stupid to have everyone's ethnicity except for white people. Trust me, white isn't an ethnicity. It's a whole bunch of ethnicities. Yeah, I'll tell you, I am like Europe had an orgy. Okay. I am English, Irish, German, Polish, and Russian. So yeah, my dad's side is all the German, English, Irish. My mother's side is Polish and Russian. So there you go.
And the entire history of Europe is basically white people killing white people.
Yeah. But also, yeah, and my relatives came here in the early 1900s. Mine too. Yeah, my great grandfather. So there you go.
Yeah, my grandfather came in the early 1900s, both of them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a statement like that, I just think is not going to help. I think it's to deflect less than 1 week. It took them less than 1 week to put out a statement like that, basically as a way to deflect from the show's criticism. And I think it's almost when they do a statement like that, it's like to critics, like, if you don't like the show, you might be racist.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you remember in the 70s and 80s, the fight was for equality and equality of opportunity. And now it just feels like revenge. It's like we've got to make white people, we got to get justice for it. We got to make them pay for centuries upon centuries of whatever.
Yeah, but everyone else was nice and never did anything bad.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Yeah, because all of Asia loved each other.
They all loved each other. They never fought.
Yeah.
They
peacefully drew borders.
Yeah, that's all they did.
They honored and respected each other's cultures.
I mean, they did put up a wall, which is a pretty good wall that lasts up until today. But
I think it was a great wall.
It is a great wall. That's what. Why don't we just call it a great wall?
Okay.
Tree of Woe says it's okay if you put women on display shamelessly twerking if female writers did it. I just don't know why. Like, I don't mind the male characters in the Marvel universe being objectified, but let's make it equitable. Let's have sexy women and sexy men. Everybody wins. How about that? None of this desexualizing of the female characters because of I don't know.
Are we saying twerking is not sexualized at all?
I just want to see that, and I'm not the first person to mention this. The twerking, you remember when She-Hulk did that clap, to Hulk, and could she do that with her butt cheeks? I've seen some pretty impressive twerking in my time. Think of what She-Hulk could do. The way that should have happened. The ending is She-Hulk could have been twerking, and then there's such a loud thunderclap of butt cheeks. It throws Megan Thee Stallion out the window, falling to her horrible death. And then the next episode, there's a big lawsuit about it. Or you see Megan Thee Stallion and she's comically at the end of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. She's in just a full body cast, and they're doing a trial, and She-Hulk is liable for thunderclapping her ass cheeks, which this is a terrible idea. But someone please do that. Please recreate that. Academic diversity has been around for a while. Yeah, that's what's sort of annoys me. It's I'm watching a lot of older films now. It's they were diverse back then. They just never called attention to it. They just didn't care. It was just it was felt organic, and it wasn't marketed that way. Jack Sue and Ron Glass from Barney Miller is just one of many examples. I can give you a lot of examples. One of my favorite shows was MASH.
Right.
One of my favorite shows as a kid was What's Happening, all black cast. Do you remember What's Happening with Raj and Rerun? I identify because Raj was kind of a nerd and he wore glasses. I wore glasses. He was kind of a nerd. What, you got to go or?
No, I was helping someone get their scooter through through the lounge here.
But yeah, like I love that show, What's Happening, and it's not. It was all black cast.
Yeah, I'll speak to MASH. I mean, MASH literally went through the entire Asian acting community throughout all of its seasons, to the point where I actually interviewed the casting director of MASH, and he talked about sometimes they have to cheat and hire Latino and Hispanic actors to play a few of the Asians.
Learn More says, if racism is bad, why do they constantly focus on skin color and race? Because most of the people in Hollywood, I think, don't have a very diverse friend group. And that's because they're at a certain economic level, and they may have some sort of internal racism. They're trying to like make up for it. That's kind of my thought on that. So wait, let me see. Wait, I didn't finish the statement. I thought we were all equal humans. Only hiring colored actors is racist. Yeah, I just think that, like, also look at House of the Dragon. Are they having the same problems? Like, the show has been widely well reviewed, and people are saying they like it. There are black characters in that cast.
Yeah, and they're not random black characters. It's an entire family. That's that way. I think the feeling I get from Rings of Power is it's just random. Let's just drop them here, drop them there, as opposed to give them a storyline. Give them a storyline that deals with. I don't know that they're going to deal with the issues of race, but they're definitely dealing with family and tribes in this case.
Yeah. Patrick Lemire says it's all deflection. When you make a bad show, blame one or more isms. Voila. You didn't really make a bad show. Yeah, it is sort of weird. Womp Biscuit says She-Hulk is funny, but for all the wrong reasons. Stopped watching after episode 2. Dempsey, no matter how they try to package it, time will tell if it is good or not by whether it stands the test of time. We all know if Tolkien will stand the test of time, but will Rings of Power? I doubt it. Yeah. And Solomon Thornton says, I'm a black guy, and the only thing I care about is a good story. I watch shows like Seinfeld. I didn't relate to the characters, but love the show. It doesn't matter. Only the story equals escapism. Same here. Same here.
You know, everybody loves Raymond. There's so many Asian themes running through that show for every season. I mean, I related to that show more than any other show as growing up as an Asian in this country.
Yeah. CD Stein 69 says She-Hulk is at least not trying to be anything it's not. Is it great? Hell no. Agree. It's not great. It's not great. Hell no, but at least it's trying to be what it's presented to be. Yeah, it's a cheesy sitcom.
Yeah.
Feels very 90s to me. And it's a legal drama / comedy.
Yeah. She-Hulk's dad is a very sitcom character.
Right, exactly. Very, very typical, stereotypical dad character in a sitcom. Yeah. Ken Bogus for 5 and a member. I want to say thank you both for making my day more entertaining. P.S. I'm Latinx, Latino, Hispanic, and I hate overly woke garbage. Yeah, oh my God. I just like, all my friends who are Latino, they hate that Latinx term. And now they're trying to do Filipinx. I have a friend who's Filipino. He's like, why are they doing that? It's all white people trying to push this shit. And it's trying to push that, look, I'm not racist because I did this thing. It's like, how about just don't be that? Like, you don't need to call it out.
I got schooled on the whole Hispanic versus Latino debate. And to the point where a friend of mine essentially calls anyone coming from Spain white. So Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz are essentially white. And they reject them for those reasons.
Jim Eagle, Cosby Show was #1 for a decade. Now, set aside Bill Cosby for a second. It's about a black family, the #1 show in America. You telling me Americans are racist? And that's the reason that they don't like the Rings of Power? I don't know. Thank you, Jim Eagle. That is the comment of the day right there. And VDR says they just handle diversity in a cringe way these days. I remember when they cast Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent and nobody cared. Yeah, well, the drag about that was that I think he should have been Two-Face. They kind of teed him up to be Two-Face, and then it didn't happen. So
you can't make him a villain. That's the problem.
Well, they should. John Manilow.
Yeah, they should.
Content of character is greater than color of skin. Holy shit. I thought we all got this by now. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like we're unlearning lessons that I think were kind of baked into the American psyche. Things that were baked into the American psyche, and I felt like, not like racism was solved, don't get me wrong, but I feel like in the 90s, people at least cared about it less. I'm talking about just regular people, just didn't care. And, you know, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, you know, the problem was that, you know, it was, to me, the whole affirmative action, the racism debate back in the 70s and 80s, it was about giving chances to people who didn't get chances before. You know, if you had a choice between hiring two people of equal quality, one minority, one white, give the minority the shot. You know, give people chances. But that speaks to merit. That speaks to a person who deserved that right. And I think at that time there was maybe a misimpression that people of color minorities didn't have those skills, and when we did, and all we wanted was that chance to compete, and you know, it's just now gone into reverse racism. You know, we're looking at people's skin colors first before anything else, and I think that's a shame, and I think that's quite frankly demeaning to minorities in the first place.
And I just
So
want to
there's my rant.
say, if you're interested in getting some Film Threat merch, you can get this amazing mug right here. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. Grab yourself a little something, help support the channel. Latino Slant says, I'm Asian and I just want a horrible show. I'll just remind you that Film Threat t-shirts cure nudity on contact. So there you go. Thank you, Paulie, for that, and subscribe to Latino Slant. Womp Biscuits, All in the Family was diverse. It was. It spun off another show. You know?
That was a very political show, too. And,
it was very political. You could.
I miss the way politics were handled in those days. I mean, it was funny, it was clever, and it made a political statement at the same time.
Yeah. Flem, if Amazon Prime put the same effort and imagination into Rings of Power as they are doing with their social media posts, they would probably have a better show. Well, it's just, the show is poorly written, number one. Yeah. Poorly written. And I think that some members of the cast are not great. And others are surprising. I think almost everyone I know that doesn't like the show, myself included, really likes the character of Princess Disa. Like, she was a surprise. She was a surprise only because I think she was on the press tour. She kind of just repeated these same sort of annoying talking points. Then you saw her character, and the dwarves were great, and the interaction between Elrond and the dwarves was highly entertaining. It's been the highlight of the show for me, and they're not in this episode.
In fact, they're only in one episode. So. And
Latino Slant says Susan Sarandon is Latinx. She's my hero. Jay Gar says She-Hulk is like stepping in gum, and the Rings of Power is like stepping in dog crap. Speaking of dog crap, we're going to talk about Pinocchio at the top of the hour. I have two more reviews to get to. We have our special guest, Neil LaBute, coming on. We're going to talk about Pinocchio. Alan is going to continue on his journey, and then we're also going to talk about Barbarian. So Pinocchio is on Disney Plus. I'm sure there's a booth there.
There isn't. I looked.
Oh, there isn't? Okay. Infinite Main. Burton was planning for Billy D. Williams to be Two-Face and Robin Williams as Riddler. That was discussed back in the day. Immortal Remus says, I think John Carpenter said in an interview once when praised for his diverse cast and crew on Prince of Darkness, that was not my intention. I just cast and hired the best people for the job. Yes. Isn't that what you would want to say to a person? You didn't get this job because of some immutable characteristics. You know, like, go back to The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. it's diverse. Like it's Hollywood. I think it's like the new people entering the workforce in Hollywood is like, we're gonna make Hollywood diverse. Yeah, it was already diverse, you idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez,
Oh, yeah.
you're not.
Well,
You're
the
not doing
implication.
anything original.
Also, the implication is we don't have to work as hard as white people to get jobs.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've heard some stories I can't repeat.
But,
I've heard some stories I can't repeat right now. Maybe we'll do it on a members stream. I'll spill the tea, so to speak. Not the Batman says, know what the cause of this is? Arcades died out, so kids stopped seeing that other kids were just like them and competing against them. I think part of it is like we're now at this place where we're not seeing each other a lot physically. Like I see people, I have a meetup group at a movie theater. I go to local dive bars. Dive bars is a great place to get to know people. A very blue collar dive bar I go to in Pasadena called the 35er. I love the 35. Shout out to the 35er fam. Charisse, probably one of the best bartenders there. The whole gang, Tony, Merce, all the bartenders at the 35. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. People even said young males don't have as many male friends. I have a lot of friends, just both male and female friends. So, yeah, a marksman of 117B for 199. Have either of you seen the Sea Beast on Netflix? I think this is like the second time someone has asked us that. I have not seen the Sea Beast yet. I assume it's good. Alan?
yeah, I've seen the first 10 minutes. That's as far as I got. I think we gave it a mediocre review on Film Threat. That's the kind of feeling I got going 10 minutes in. It's not exactly wasn't exactly grabbing me, but I haven't given it a fair shot, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, another movie that you gave a terrible review to was My Son Hunter. My Son Hunter, you gave it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Is that on Film Threat right now?
It's on Film Threat right now. It hasn't showed up on Rotten Tomatoes yet.
Do you think that we're going to catch some trouble for
We're giving it a bad review?
Well, no, not that, but just like I'm gonna.
We talked about it on Hollywood on the Rocks. It was like, the main reason I reviewed it is because we were told we couldn't review it. And I think the only way to combat it is to review it and to be honest about it. To not let politics. Whether I agree with, the feelings about, Hunter Biden and his antics is irrelevant to what this movie is. To say that I like it because I'm a Republican or I hate it because I'm a Democrat is just it's a disingenuous review at that point.
Well, yeah. We talked about it on Wednesday's stream. I'm gonna put the link in the chat if anyone wants to go and check out this review. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. But
I'll say the main reason I didn't like it is because it's so one-sided. It's so heavy-handed.
And some of the acting was just awful.
Yeah, some of it was good. But it's clear that they had a message that this was clearly there to poke the bear, to rile feathers, and it's there to basically appease the conservatives and anger the liberals, or the woke, I should say.
A request from Latino Slant. Alan, please mute your mic when you're not speaking. There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, how's it now? I'm outside and there's no one here. So.
All right. Maybe just if you're not talking, mute it.
Okay.
If you can, if you don't mind. But I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about a movie that you have not seen, and that's Pinocchio. Did you see Pinocchio?
I did.
Okay. Let's launch right in to talk about Pinocchio. And Pinocchio ties in with everything we've been discussing. It ties in with the Rings of Power. It ties in with kind of the fall of Hollywood and their sort of disconnect with what viewers want. and what they're putting out. This may be the worst film of the year. Thankfully, it's not in theaters. It's only on Disney Plus. This is, in one film, everything that's wrong with Hollywood is this Pinocchio remake with Tom Hanks, directed by Robert Zemeckis. A colossal disappointment, taking a beloved classic. And I will say this, Pinocchio is not my favorite Disney animated movie. Okay. There are much better ones. And it's also one of the shortest. I believe Pinocchio is almost like, it's only like 60 minutes. 60, 70 minutes is very short. And it what this live action remake does is attempt to almost like completely on model do a CGI version of Pinocchio with the live action Geppetto. And there are a few other live action actors, the teachers and whatnot. And of course, it does everything that modern Disney does now, where it's in Italy, but everything's very diverse, as it would be, say, in America. And it just feels a little off. Like, hey, we're in Italy in a certain period of time. I don't know that it would be like this. Okay. But it's a cartoon. Who cares about accuracy? Whatever. As Whoopi Goldberg said, it's just a fantasy world. It's fantasy. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. But this is corporate. This was made because some lawyer at Disney decided we need to remake this so we can retain the rights to this character and the design and all of that, right? So it's a travesty. It's so embarrassing. And there's a couple things that made me sick to my stomach watching it. Well, one is certain things work in animation that don't work in live action. For example, the Simpsons cartoons can get away with talking about politics or religion. They can get away with it. But if you have those conversations in a live action show, you might that would be like All in the Family, and it wouldn't be, people would not accept it, right? But you can do that in animation. There's this creepy thing where like Geppetto's just wishing for a boy. He wants a real live boy. Why does this old man want a boy? What is he going to do with this boy? He just wants a boy. There's a scene where he discovers Pinocchio is alive and is dancing around with him. And it's the creepiest thing ever. I've got my boy, a live boy. And it's so, you're looking at the way Tom Hanks is acting and you're like, oh my God, this is the creepiest thing, because it's live action. That's why it's kind of creepy. Like, and he's selling it. It's really like, it's not shot for shot, but it's pretty much everything. If you've seen Pinocchio, the original animated, this is that show. This is that, just in CG animation. It reminded me of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Axel Braun adult film parodies. Somebody got for me the Batman one, which was like the Adam West Batman, but it was the porn parody version. It's like Batman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not the Batman XXX or not, whatever it was. Anyways, I watched a little bit of this DVD and I was kind of traumatized, mainly because the accuracy of the costumes and the, like, who they cast to be Batman and the Boy Wonder and Catwoman and all that. All the costumes were so accurate, but they were doing things I didn't want to see. And I was very disturbed, and I felt the exact same way watching Pinocchio. It's like, I was kind of like, oh, my memory of Pinocchio is this, delightful animated movie, that was made in a certain era. And this thing just seems horrible. They might have called it Axel Braun's Pinocchio. But I hated everything about this film with every fiber of my being. I could not, I think it's among the worst films of the year, if not the worst film. There's even a scene where Pinocchio is going to school and he happens upon a pile of poop with flies, and it's a very graphic pile of poop. That's going to be used in every review. Yeah. We don't do like extensive reviews, like,
and there's some great shots. It was composed perfectly.
It was composed perfectly of poop. And I wonder if some of the animators put that in thinking, oh my God, I am in hell working on this project, and the best thing I can do is throw a piece of poop in there as sort of a thing. But oh my God, I hated this film. And everything about it is what's wrong with filmmaking today. It's, it's a reboot, it's a modernization. And then also Tinkerbell is off model. I mean, Tinkerbell has been a character that's been around, and Disney was used in the Walt Disney World show in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. Tinkerbell's been around. And so the woman who plays Tinkerbell doesn't look like Tinkerbell. I'm not going to go any further than that, but it's in the trailer.
Are you talking the Blue Fairy?
Blue Fairy.
Yeah.
It's just this is everything that's wrong with Hollywood now and modern filmmaking. Before I go to the comments, Alan, I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, this is a really bad movie, but I liked it better than you, so I think that qualifies for the Disney check. I'll have to check on that one. No, this is a really bad movie. And I saw different things that you saw to make me even hate it more. Part of it was the dialogue never felt like it was of that time. There's a lot of modern references, not a lot of modern references, but modern speak, that, I think they're trying to make jokes here and there, and they're using things we say today that no one would ever have said back then. I wish I could come up with a good example of it, but you're going to notice it, especially from Jiminy Cricket. It just feels out of place at that point. The other thing is, I agree with you. This should have been an animated cartoon. It should not have been live action. And I liken it for the same reasons as Beauty and the Beast. I think there's too much detail, and when you do 3D modeling, when you try to make the world look like the real world, and things are too perfect and too detailed, you lose some of that magic that you get when you watch an animated feature, and that certainly happened here. There's just too much noise, too much visual noise, as opposed to getting that feel and the joy and the glory that you get from an animated feature. The other thing is, this is supposed to be a remake of a retelling of Pinocchio, and what do? They basically gut most of the songs from the original. When You Wish Upon a Star is one of the most iconic Disney songs there are. When you hear it, you think of Disney. And here they sing the back end of it in the beginning of the film, and then they kind of sing the entire song at the end of the film. For the rest, there's certainly songs cut. They do bring in I Have No Strings and Actor's Life for Me, but they're done. You only get parts of it. And for a movie that's longer than the original, you wonder why they didn't just include the rest of the song. And then the last thing is, I cannot believe this is a Robert Zemeckis movie. The acting is subpar. The storytelling is subpar. Lorraine Bracco plays a seagull, and her acting in this is horrendous. It's horrible. It's as if she went in one day to a recording studio, told them, I can only record this one time, did it, and then ran out. It's not like they couldn't have gone in, brought her back in, showed her the scenes, and said, okay, you're acting off these scenes. Her dialogue, her performance is what you expect if you walked into a recording studio and didn't know what you were doing, and you're just reading lines, and that's what you get. And and I think this is indicative of a lot of the main characters. Again, I just cannot believe that Robert Zemeckis directed this, because it's the direction is not good, especially what he gave the characters, and then probably gave the animators as well. He didn't give them a lot of good directions in this film. Maybe he was phoning it in.
I agree. Let's
go.
Rant
over.
No, I love your rant. Let's go to some comments here. Glanuccio says, and subscribe to Glanuccio's channel because it rhymes with Pinocchio. No, it doesn't. If you want to see a great live action Pinocchio, watch the 1996 film with Martin Landau as Geppetto. Great call. Retro Nerd Girl says, the trailer tells me everything I need to know about Pinocchio. It's a big turnoff. When Jiminy Cricket starts talking like Jiminy Glick, says Luad CM20. Eric Jimenez. Oh, wait. You could mute yourself, Alan, in your Not. Erica Menez, it was bad, but the live action Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast were even worse in my eyes. It's on par with those awful Maleficent movies. Could not stand those Maleficent movies. Phil W for $4.99. What the F happened to Robert Zemeckis? How do you go from Back to the Future and Roger Rabbit to this? Well, he also made Polar Express, which I also didn't like. That sort of dead-eyed animation. Go back and watch Polar Express. It's god awful. Amanda in the wiki says, old man wants a boy. Quick, call the cops. Burton Bella, why is Tom Hanks doing so many questionable acting jobs lately? Yeah, I don't know. Want Biscuits, this is a hallmark of what Hollywood is like now. A movie with talent in front of the camera, Hanks, and behind it, yet it fails to land. Hollywood finds a way to fail. Well, that's the thing is, like, you've got Zemeckis, you've got Tom Hanks, and the reason the movie failed is, I'll tell you exactly why. Hollywood's mandate for what this movie was supposed to be. It's box checking, box checking, box checking. This is why all movies that adhere too closely to that and don't defend against it, like there are filmmakers that push back against that. There are filmmakers that say, nah, don't need to check that box. Nah, I'm not going to do it. No, I don't care. I don't care. And you know,
Do you think Do you think Sam Raimi was kind of under the same pressure as Robert Zemeckis here?
100%. Marksman of 117B for $4.99. It looked woke at first, but subverted my expectations. The cast was nice. Each character was treated with respect, and no one was belittled. Wait, are you talking about Pinocchio? I don't know what movie he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you know, other than maybe a race swap here or there, you know, I don't know that I would call it woke. I don't think Pinocchio was woke.
Andrea Susie, great Scott. Back to the Future will be next. They found Bob Zemeckis. I don't know how, but they found him. No, they've said Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale, the screenwriter, Robert Zemeckis have said that they will never remake it. They'll never reboot it. They'll never remake it. Yeah. And Kenny Kanthak for 10. Happy Friday, Chris and Alan. Finally had a chance to watch RRR with my friends last week. And wow, what a great movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. And I love the diversity in that movie. Diversity is what diversity doesn't make anything great. And it doesn't necessarily make anything bad. It just, I think if it's organic to that story, cool. There's no way you could, I mean, it's an Indian story. So make it authentic to that. And also, by the way, I'm seeing RRR for a 5th time in the theater. It's part of Beyond Fest. Tickets sold out in 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes, they were gone. I'm seeing it in the 1,200 seat IMAX on September 30th at the TCL Chinese Theater. So Radioactive for 5 says, if you want to watch a live action version of Pinocchio, watch Steven Spielberg's version AI. Yeah, it is a modern Pinocchio. No, for sure. Oh, Marksman of 117B for 199 was talking about the Sea Beast. Oh, okay, cool. So you were talking about Sea Beast. Oh, so that makes me want to see that now. And then Latino Sled says, RRR, drink. It's on the bingo card. And we have over 600 people watching right now. Please, if you please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. Alan will thank you. Oh, wow. All right, let's switch gears to a different film to review. I'm very excited. Everything's been terrible, right? Like new Rings of Power, don't care. And it's you know, like if you're not invested, how are we going to keep watching it? Pinocchio was just awful. Alan was supposed to see this movie Medieval, but it's not like in every theater. It's like getting a very mild release, but I am happy to report to you a film called Barbarian, a movie you might not even ever have heard of, by a new director. I have to look up this director's name. Made this film. The director is a guy named Zach Kreger, and Barbarian is a horror film. I don't want to tell you too much, except you must see this in a theater. It also has aspects of comedy. it kind of starts off with like an Airbnb mix-up, okay? And a lot of films have done this lately, probably because it's a thing that really happens. There's a character named Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård, and he's great in it, by the way. Bill Skarsgård is great. And there's a woman named Tess, played by Georgina Campbell. Tess shows up at a house in Detroit. She's got a job interview, and Keith is there. There was a mix-up. You know, she booked on Airbnb. He booked on a different service. They both have same confirmations. So what do? It's like, okay, they sort of awkwardly, I'll spend the night. We'll make it work. Well, things go bad from there. Everything is not what it seems. Is someone else in the house with them that they don't know? They're not aware of. Who knows? All I can say is this: things don't end well. Cut to, and this is as far as I'll get. I don't want to tell too much about the story. Cut to Justin Long, and he is an actor who's in the middle of getting Me Too'd, and he's the owner of the house. So he kind of returns to the house to like, is this an asset that he can liquidate? And things don't go well. All I can say is I really don't want to go into detail. That's like about the first half of the movie, but it has that sort of like Psycho-like thing where it starts off with one story and then kind of pivots to another to pick up the characters from the last story. I don't want to tell you much more about the story. You can look up the trailer for Barbarian, directed by Zach Kreger. And I have to say, one of the best horror films I've seen this year, up there with The Black Phone. So I know I really enjoyed The Black Phone. I don't think this is as good as The Black Phone, but I will say that it's frightening and it's funny as hell. And Bill Skarsgård is great. You know, he played Pennywise, and my God, we saw it at the AMC Burbank 16 in the Dolby Digital Theater, packed screening. Everybody, the laughs were like, there's as many laughs as there are scares in it. And the scares, they're not such cheap, like, the cheap scares. There are a few cheap scares here and there, but man, God, with this movie, highly entertaining. And I don't know what else to say about it, except if I say anything more, I'm going to ruin it, except I loved this film and I can't wait to see it again. That was my second time. I'll see it a third time. I like to see horror films with my girlfriend. What did you get to see Barbarian?
Does the trailer? Oh, I have not seen it. I'm not a big horror fan, and I feel like this one's gonna scare me. It's gonna might be a little too much.
Don't take your daughter.
The question I have is, does the trailer ruin this at all?
I'm trying to remember if I've even seen the trailer. I don't think I've seen the trailer. So a lot of times,
I mean, the trailer does a setup, and I think it leads to like a cellar. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie, but
no, that does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it leads to a cellar, and wow, it's just this, right up there with Black Phone. Not quite as good as Black Phone. One of the best horror films of this year. Really loved it. So I encourage you to see it. And then also opening this weekend and in limited release, more limited than Barbarian, is a movie called House of Darkness. And we're going to talk to the director, Neil LaBute. Oddly enough, it's not similar, but Justin Long is in it. Justin Long he kind of picks up a girl at a bar, or maybe she picks him up. They go back to her house, which ends up being a mansion. She finds out she's really rich, and it's about their date. And it's very, very awkward. Things may be afoot. We're going to talk to director Neil LaBute. And by the way, Neil LaBute, you may want to look him up. You can look up the trailer for House of Darkness. Neil LaBute has done some amazing films that I know you love. He did The Wicker Man, which I know, like, we would not have the bees without Neil LaBute. He did a film. This is where I first learned of him. He did a film called In the Company of Men, which premiered at Sundance and was incredibly controversial. If you look up In the Company of Men, very controversial film. So I'm excited to talk to him about House of Darkness with Justin Long. But let's go to some chat questions here. And I gotta do something real quick. Let's see. Zach Kreger also acts in the movie a la James Morosini in I Love My Dad. Yes, he's in a scene. I don't want to point out the scene, but he's in a scene with Justin Long. Brief scene. So, yeah. But James Morosini's kind of like in the whole movie. So, yeah. Justin Long plays a perfect douche. Well, he does. He is such a douche. He's actually also a douche in House of Darkness as well. Alan, tell us what's going on while I just take a quick break.
Oh, gee.
Be right back.
Yeah, here, let me you know, I think during the interview I'm going to drop out, but you know, we can always head back into the hall here. I was trying to get into the theme park pavilion, and I think I'm nearby it. So yeah, let's just run in here real fast. Yeah, now you can see the crowds are starting to come in. There's Pinocchio over there, but yeah, I believe people are finally starting to filter in. It's getting loud. You know, now the events and the activities are being filled up. Yeah, sorry, I cannot see any chats, so I'm just gonna kind of go. This is the D20. This is the Disney Plus bundle booth. They are really pushing the packages right now, so I may have to look into that. All right, let's head over into let's head over to Lucasfilm here, Star Wars. All right, let's go through Willow here. I don't know much about. I don't know a lot of details about Willow, but I do know it's coming. All right, here we go. Is this Warwick Davis's costume? All right. I know. You know, Willow came up a long time ago, and I'll be honest, I'm starting to struggle to remember what it was about. Yeah, I bet I'm gonna get copyright struck if I stay in there. All right, where are we now? There's Disney Plus. Of course, Target is involved. We have the diner. All right, let me see if I can get to the attractions booth. All right, so I take it back. If you are not here now, it's getting really crowded. But we are at the Anaheim Convention Center for D23 Expo. Villains booth. Here's the cruise with me. Cosplay room. Yeah. There we go. I could have walked right into the Disney Parks booth. But yes, the line is here. All right. So of course they're pushing the new movies. We're gonna head over to the Strange World. All right. So this is the next Disney animated film, and of course I have no idea what it's about. Okay. We are still gonna get copyright struck with this.
That's actually the movie Strange Worlds.
Strange
I've seen
World.
the trailer for it. I don't know. It looks okay.
Yeah, it's
not for me.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Again, these trailers are supposed to give you an idea of what it's about and why you should be excited to see it. And I'm just not there with it.
I hear you.
By the way, is that Gina Carano in the background there?
I don't think so. I don't think Gina Carano will be found anywhere at D23. Sorry to say.
All right. How are you? All right. So now here's the vendor section. Basically the normal people, the fans of Disney. They like that. Oh man, I miss the old Journey to Imagination ride. All right. Trying to see if I actually know some of the people here, so I'm going to try to see if I can find anyone that I know.
Cool. We've got our special guest, Neil LaBute, will be joining us shortly, and we'll say goodbye to you then, Alan.
Yeah. Because I have a very long line to sit in after this.
Cool. Let's go to some of these comments here. Andrea Susie says, seeing me walk through this expo just makes me sad. It's like walking through a mausoleum of destroyed franchises. Henry Cavill playing Mr. Fantastic, confirmed at D23, said no one ever. Zach says, Alan is collecting coins like Mario while at D23. Max One Up says, saw Barbarian last night, pretty solid, and it went in directions I didn't expect. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I do plan to see it again. Hey, Film Threat, retired stunt woman here, just found your channel. Cool, says Stunt Brat 777. Oh, that's great. Were you in that documentary about stunt women? Let me know, Stunt Brat. We've covered that movie. That's great. Marksman 117B for $4.99 says, you bullied me into watching RRR, which was great. So now I'm going to bully you into the Sea Beast. There were moments of care I don't see in film now. All right, I got to see it. Marksman of 117B, I got to see it now. It's on Netflix. I have no excuse. I did see a little viral video that they did, or like where they tried to actually recreate the actual Sea Beast on the Santa Monica Pier. I thought it was interesting. CD Stein 69 for $9.99 says, speaking of Raimi, saw an interview with him telling his Doctor Strange that he wanted to film was completely different than what we got. He had to do several reshoots to do the box checking for Marvel. Yeah, there you go. Hey, almost 500 people watching right now. Slap that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I have to tell people that because, you know, just a quick reminder. And true secret, that Alan Vader vid was really Alan. It is really Alan. And Patrick Lemire says, I'm glad Disney finally addressed the Blue Fairy problem. Finally. There you go. Alan, we're going to switch gears here.
That was Maui. I just said that was Maui. Okay.
Okay. Alan, great to see you at the show. Have a good time.
Yes, I'll be posting videos over the weekend. Oh, sorry.
Excellent.
People think I'm talking to them now. Okay, I'll see you all later.
All right, take care, Alan. We'll see you later. Awesome. That was Alan Ng at the D23 Expo. He's going to be giving us reports throughout the weekend if you're a member of the channel. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce writer-director Neil LaBute. I became aware of his work in The Company of Men, which was at Sundance, I believe in 1997, where I saw it, and it was a very controversial film. Very controversial. I don't think that Neil is afraid of controversy. He writes things that are challenging, and I think we could use a lot more of that these days. Neil, welcome to the Film Threat Livecast. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your film House of Darkness, starring Justin Long. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Cool. Tell us what I've got to ask about In the Company of Men and whatnot. Like when that came out, I remember that was the talked about film that year at Sundance. And people, I personally love that you were brave enough to make a film that made men look like assholes, which I think is kind of, that's
it wasn't that hard,
Yeah. But tell me,
the challenge was there, but it wasn't that hard.
But can you tell me a little bit about that experience and kind of like, because that was at least, I don't know, is that your first film? Like
it was, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was definitely a challenge because it was, as you say, first film, and I didn't come up through like music videos. There was a lot of people coming out of music videos at that time, or making short films from film school. I had come through the theater and jumped into making movies with just that picture, but it felt very much like a theatrical kind of film. I've often made things that are have a lot of dialogue and I don't move the camera a ton. So there's always been kind of a blend of those two mediums anyway. But It was made off the grid, for a short amount of a small amount of money, and it happened to get into Sundance, and that's where the awareness came. Nobody knew about it. No one was waiting to see it. No one cared, really. It was just you go off like a lot of people and make a movie, and you hope that someone gets to see it. And so that first audience was really like the first audience, and so I had no idea how the jokes would land, how the idea would work with an audience. It'd be fascinating for it to come out today, if it could even get made today. The concerns, I think, are as present now as ever, but that wild west of independent cinema at that time kind of allowed for all kinds of stories to be told, and that was refreshing. You never knew what you were going to get at Sundance. It was kind of a blast to be a part of that. So I was very lucky.
Is it possible you could make In the Company of Women?
I just may have. So
right. True.
So film goers can decide for themselves. At the time, I'd been asked that, could you flip the gender? And I thought, you could, of course, but it probably wouldn't work out the way it did in that film. There was sort of that competitiveness between men, that kind of wolf pack feel there. I had always thought if it was being done by a woman, it probably would have been a woman by herself, and she would have been playing the two guys against each other. And eventually, when I did this theater piece that I also filmed called The Shape of Things, I thought, now that's kind of the female version of In the Company of Men. That's maybe how a woman might operate, in that sort of deceptive way of like, you think I'm doing this, but this is what I'm really doing. This singular female running that game.
Yeah, the Shape of Things is brilliant. Paul Rudd in that is so fantastic.
So
and the
good,
fact
yeah.
that, God, he's so good in that. And I think that's another...
He's so good. You could just kind of leave it there. He's really just so good. He doesn't do as many dramatic pieces, but he's really good. And Rachel Weisz is... she's a dream. She was started it on stage and just, she's blossomed ever since then, but she's just great.
And I want to ask you also about Wicker Man. It's the Nicolas Cage with the bees has become kind of, that gets brought up a lot.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. That gets brought up a lot.
It's become like a meme, but obviously not your intention.
Oh, I hadn't seen it. No. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, of course it has. Yeah.
Just how you felt about that, or is that just sort of like, oh, it's just like a lucky thing? It just reminds people, hey, see the Wicker Man.
They say that no press is bad press. There's an end to that probably where that felt like after a while there might be such a thing as bad press. It was it was a blast to make, and Nick is fantastic to work with, and had so many incredible ideas. He wanted to remake that film. He kind of promised Joey Ramone that he would, and he came to me and we talked about it. It was a movie that I had always thought could be remade, and we tried to find a legitimately different way to go about it. I think we ended up with a lot of cooks in our kitchen, and so did we ever land the recipe just right? I don't know that we did, but it's a tough one to, it's always, it's easy afterwards to go, oh, this is what you did wrong, and this is what you did wrong. At the time, we were having fun and trying to make something interesting. Well, I mean, we knew there was going to be laughs. You can't send a man running around in a bear suit, hitting people without thinking that people may snicker at that. But we always knew that we were going to burn the guy in the end, and that, hopefully the joke would catch in your throat. But I think, it's that some of those things that people have come up with in posters and things are pretty hilarious. So if you can't roll with it, I think you have to be open with your work to go, this one went over the fence. This one was a bunt, and check out what your average is in the end. I don't know if I've mixed enough analogies there for you.
It's perfect.
With baseball and everything else.
Well, you've had the luxury of doing smaller independent films where it's, you can maintain that vision. Then you've done larger films where you do have to kind of thread the needle of giving the financiers what they want or the studio what they want? How do you manage that? We talk about that a lot on this YouTube channel because we interview a lot of indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
We interview filmmakers who've done larger movies. There is that sort of like song and dance, and seeing a lot of indie filmmakers. A lot of indie filmmakers cross over to doing big studio work.
Sure.
So many examples. How do you politic that? When is it and how do you compare that experience?
Well, unfortunately, that's the word, politics, and it's not a word I'm in love with. And sometimes you do the dance well, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't give them ultimately what they want, I think. And because, the job of producer is to want more and more for less and less. It's like everything from the script on down to the finished product. It's like they give you notes on a script, and it's like, that's great, but we'd love to get in this and this and this, but could you cut 10 pages? So that they give you the impossible request, and that kind of just continues through. The best ones kind of really know script and really know production, but it's not always the case. Sometimes they just know money. And so they feel that their money, that wad of money buys them creativity, and it just doesn't necessarily do that. It doesn't make you a creative person because you had enough money to get the movie made. So it's a strange dance, and it's a different dance every time. It feels like you're always having to learn new steps. So sometimes I feel like I've done it well, and sometimes I feel like I look like an idiot. I may have looked like an idiot every time, but sometimes by the end you've done it well, at least. So it's always nice when you have the control, in the sense that you can at least look at something, and I think House of Darkness falls into the world of that, to be able to say, whether you like it or not, it was what I intended to do. So go ahead and judge it now, and make your tweet, write your review, do your thing, and tell a friend to see it or not. But I don't have to wish there was a disclaimer on there saying, well, gosh, you should know that the producers, that it's just, that was what I set out to make.
You're getting a lot of love in our chat. We've got about 400 people watching live right now.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So before we get to their questions, I want to talk about your new movie, House of Darkness, how you put this together. Justin Long is stars in it. It's out this weekend, I believe, in theaters. Right. And then I believe will be on video on demand shortly after. But how did
the window's incredibly short these days.
Yes, it is. Well, look, whatever model towards profitability that makes the financiers happy, fine. But what got you here with this? And you even mentioned kind of comparing this. This could be like In the Company of Women in a sense. Yeah.
The times in which we made it were obviously people were just coming back from, not even coming back from COVID, but just raising their heads, like people who had been through an apocalypse, like you opening the shelter and going, can we breathe out here? And so movies were being made that were very contained, and this sort of fit the bill. And so obviously it was seen as something that was because there was always that worry of like going back to work and can we get to the end of the production? So with something, almost one location, very small cast, and a short number of days to shoot, the odds were good that it would get done. So that helped, and that brings the movie out to people. But it's one of those things where I've often written these, more contained chamber piece things, and I love that kind of thing that lets actors act, and you can do long takes and that kind of thing. So that brought us to where we were, and we got a chance to go shoot it in Arkansas. Who knew they had castles in Arkansas? But there they are. It was a quick, as I say, shoot, but all nights. It was as difficult as anything, because when you have a little bit of time and it's nighttime and the conditions are tough, had a lot of torrential rain, and so we had plenty to deal with, and yet we got it done. And you mentioned Justin, but a great cast of people. I mean, Kate Bosworth was there, and they went toe to toe and immediately hit it off. I think they're still hitting it off, as a matter of fact. And Gia Croverton and Lucy Walters. So I got lucky with the cast, and that's, with cast and crew. I had a great DP. You're as good as those people that you hire, and if you're smart, you listen to them. You don't just try and tell them what to do. You say, "Hey, you guys have good ideas too, so let's put our heads together and do this thing."
Well, I hope we have time. We got you for maybe 8 more minutes, maybe longer. We'll see.
Whatever you need. Go ahead.
Cool. So just some questions from our chat. People watching live. Latino Slant says, "Wow, Neil is the real deal." So there you go.
Thank you.
Barton Bella, that castle in Arkansas is actually haunted. So
I'm glad to hear that now rather than when I was there.
Yeah.
Because it was difficult enough without knowing that it was haunted.
And Patrick Lemire says, "In the Company of Men, along with Sex, Lies, and Videotape, were shown to us in school as examples of you don't need a ton of money to achieve excellence." So
I just got a chance to work with the DP from Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and he was fantastic. And he speaks about it in the same way, that they didn't have a lot of money, but Soderbergh was such a smarty pants right from the beginning that he just made great choices, and they got it made.
And then Patrick Lemire goes on to ask, without giving any names, do you do dialogue punch-ups for others? As an accomplished writer.
I have in the past for a few things. That's a kind of a tricky thing, for hire. You can make some money that way. They used to do a lot more of it, I think, than they do now. Sometimes they still do it, obviously. I've done a little bit of that work, but I find it sometimes harder to go in and work on somebody else's material, with the expectations and the limitations. Time is often the case. Can you do this as fast as possible? Than just doing your own work. It's nice to have the freedom to have a blank page and create.
Shelby AC asks, question for Neil: what's the best advice a mentor has given you?
Probably the best advice, not that I've given, but that a mentor. I ran into the playwright, also I think filmmaker as well, David Rabe. He wrote Hurly Burly, if you know that play or film. A lot of great plays. I ran into him in a Blockbuster in Westchester County in New York one time, and he was talking about playwrights, and he called us Buffalo and said that we need to stick together. And I think it was such a great thing to say, just because sometimes it can feel like a very lonely pursuit. You spend a lot of time in your home and by yourself and stare at the screen. This is not suggesting that you go out to Starbucks and pretend to write. The idea is, if you go to Starbucks, make sure that you are writing. And I think sticking together is the key to that, of finding a group of people you trust, people that you can show your work to, and really get a lot of times you just need hugs, but if you have somebody who you can really ask the truth about what you've written, I think that's invaluable. So that was one of the best things anybody ever said to me was, stick together with other writers.
Dempsey asks, is it true you made an entire movie off the line, "Let's hurt somebody"?
Well, it took a little more work than that. I had to write the rest of the script, but that was definitely the springboard for In the Company of Men. That line got in my head, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't hearing voices and saying, no, I don't want to hurt anybody. I realized that was, oh no, those are characters, and the provocative idea. In fact, when I first wrote it, that was the first line that anybody said, and by the time that the movie existed, I'd kind of flipped that. And when you see the men, they're kind of traveling on their destination to this other town to work for a bit. And by the time they've gone from airport, bar, all those things, and end up in front of their hotel rooms, that's at the end when Aaron Eckhart said to his friend, "Let's hurt somebody." So it just became flipped in the making of it. But yeah, the catalyst was that line.
And just some comments here from people. Patrick Lemire says, "The Shape of Things flips the script. I strongly recommend that film." Okra Vendakai says, not the bees.
See, there's no, you can't get away from it.
You can't get away from it.
It
And
might end up being on the headstone.
And Dempsey goes on to ask, how big of a role did being educated in so many different places play in influencing your filmmaking?
Filmmaking, not so much, because I'd always been a film lover. I started out very early, just circling movies in the TV guide with my mom and going, she would say, oh my gosh, look what's on, Leave Her to Heaven, you've got to see this. And, if we didn't see that at 9:00 on Thursday night, you might not see that movie again. There was a time, it may be hard to believe, you might not see it for another 6 months. Even available, because there wasn't VHS. There were not revival. I mean, there were revival houses, not where I grew up. So I got an education going to the movies, watching movies on TV. And so filmmaking wasn't changed much by, I was always in school, really working on the English side or the, English lit or in theater. But certainly I went to NYU for graduate school. So just being in the city allowed me to see a lot of movies that I couldn't necessarily get my hands on. So that's the beauty of being in a bigger city sometimes. Now things become much more available to people all over the country. And I think that's a great thing. But yeah, so school was just, education's just a huge thing. I mean, one of the biggest influences on me was the public library. That's where I started out, just taking out a stack of books bigger than, higher than my arms up to my head, and read. So that's another thing I would suggest to people still use. I still go to the public library. I love it.
And books, for people don't know, they're like the internet, but on really thin slices of wood. And people would read them back then.
Yeah, one should point that out these days. Less and less that's happening with people. But it's a beautiful thing to hold a good book.
Well, I grew up in that same era, Neil. Like TV
Where
guide.
did you grow up?
I grew up in Michigan.
No,
Royal Oak, Michigan.
I was born in Detroit.
Oh, well, there you go. So
Yeah.
I used to watch Bill Kennedy at the movies. The Ghoul was at night. Sir Graves Ghastly. I would just circle. These are the movies. And watching movies then was an appointment. Like if you didn't see it, it was gone. There was no
Absolutely.
VCR. Like
Yeah.
I would audio record actually movies and TV shows. Just audio recordings.
Amazing. Yeah. It was that's very fun.
Yeah.
The idea of that, because I remember those old cassettes with some kind of interesting control that it would have to snap off or on.
Right.
It was also such a communal thing, not just the idea of going to the movies, but at home. Like it was actual time that I would spend with my father or my mother that, you didn't get in other ways. My dad sitting down to watch, his menu was more limited. He was really more into Westerns, more into, war pictures, particularly World War II. So sitting down to watch Where Eagles Dare was a big deal, but how often did that come on? So you kind of really had to let him know, hey, what's on Saturday? And if you hit one of the jackpot, you knew you were going to hang out with him. He was going to make popcorn, and it was going to be an amazing couple hours.
That I'm so glad you brought that up, because it was like when movies like, say, West Side Story or Gone with the Wind were on television, and those were like 2-night events, right?
Like once a year.
Once a year, that was it. If you didn't see Wizard of Oz
on Halloween,
right? Yeah,
was it Halloween or was it Thanksgiving? It was one of those. It's like that's when it would come on, and you're right. With Gone with the Wind, it took 2 evenings because with ads, they had to break it into like 2-hour episodes.
That was you get the popcorn. Family had one television. You were all gathered around it. It was great. Lot more questions here. Hopefully we can get to most of these. Dempsey asks, do you have a must-read book that you recommend to others?
Gosh, a must-read book. What would I say? I spent a lot of time in the last couple of COVID years trying to catch up on books that you go, oh, I feel like I've read that, and yet maybe I never did. Maybe I saw the movie. Maybe I've picked it up a bunch of times, and so I've been going through some Henry James that I hadn't read, and Edith Wharton. I mean, I think The Age of Innocence is one of the best books ever written. It was the first woman writer to win the Pulitzer Prize. You could go, in many different ways, but The Age of Innocence is an incredible novel about men and women and New York society, and I thought it was a fantastic read. But I pick me on another day, and I'll pick something wildly different as well. Lord of the Flies, always one of my favorites. So there's a and they're probably a little meaner in Age of Innocence than they are in Lord of the Flies. So
Solomon Thornton asks, "What is your process of filmmaking?"
Boy, that's big, wide question. But what I like is, probably like most people, plenty of time to plan, plenty of time for myself to come up with a good plan that is very flexible. I always try and come in with an idea, and if somebody has a better one, then I am more than happy to steal it and make it my own. I really try and listen to the cast and crew, but know that I'm going to be responsible for it. So, there's going to be I'm protective of my script, but I'm not precious about it. I change stuff on the fly all the time, and yet I'm very careful about writing stuff. Rehearsal is paramount, and yet you find in movies you tend not to get very much of it. People don't want to pay for it because it's a cost that they don't see that goes on the screen. Of course it does, but it's something that's intangible and therefore not cost effective. But I think the best work I've done, I've had more time to rehearse with a cast than not. So I love to do that, but then you got to get in there and when the clock starts ticking and the sun starts going down, you've got to be able to really think on your feet and just get to the end of that day and just stack those days end on end, and pretty soon you've got a movie. So it's a lot of problem solving. It's a lot of making economic choices feel like they're artistic ones, and it's a lot of creating a good environment, creating a great environment for actors, particularly to work in, and then staying out of their way, letting them do the work that they do, trusting them that you hired people, and then you're not going to try and tell them how to do their job, and be there for them the second they need help. And the best ones will ask you for help when they need it. I've worked with some pretty great people, and every one of them at some point, looks at you and says, I don't know, what do you think? Should we do another one? Or what, everybody needs feedback from somebody. And that's what you're there for, is not to make them act the way you would have done it, but the way that they provide the best way for them to do it. And that's some versions of that are what I've always tried to do.
And Christopher Miller asks, what made you want to make this movie, House of Darkness?
That's a great question. I have made a lot of things that were kind of male-female relationship driven, and I wanted to take that idea and meld it into more of a genre piece like this one. And I've always enjoyed Dracula and wanted to. I've adapted it for the stage before and worked on the Van Helsing series, and so I've been very familiar with it and wanted to always like the weird sisters, the kind of people call the brides of Dracula, or they're called the weird sisters in the book, and imagine them in a more contemporary setting, and so play around with a couple of different ideas and meld them into one hopefully cohesive movie.
And then Patrick Lemire asks, Neil, you seem like such a gentle person, yet can go to fairly dark places. Do you ever surprise or shock yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, everybody does, right? I have a temper. I have a fuse that it's thankfully very, very long. much shorter than my father's was. But I can get there. I'm tough on myself in terms of doing good work, and I think exacting with people, but not tough on them. I can I can be surprised by things that I like or don't like. It's Yeah, I mean, people hopefully surprise themselves all the time. Why do I want to make this movie, or why am I reading this, or why did I have that interaction with somebody? We're strange creatures, and we have very eclectic tastes and interests, and so I surprise myself probably on a daily basis, and I would imagine you do as well.
Question here, another question from Dempsey. What is your view on the recent slew of remakes, reboots, and reimaginings?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I have been involved with some of those things, and so I think a good story can be retold. I come from the theater, and so plays get redone all the time. I've seen, I don't know how many Hamlets I've seen in my life, and I've seen some great ones, and I've seen some not as great ones. That's very kind of me. So that's a way for me to say bad ones. And that if I see another version of Death of a Salesman, I go, hey, yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. Are they trying something new with it? Are they doing something very traditional? So in the theater, you see that all the time. With movies, it used to be in your lifetime you wouldn't see a movie remade, and then or only a couple, and now it's actually happening more and more often. I love something that's new and creative and fresh as much as the next person, I hope. So that's always a special thing when you go to something that has no trappings from something else, and it's a new voice or fantastic. But if you can go back to a source and say, "Oh, I'm going to take on Romeo and Juliet one more time," God bless. On stage or on screen, if you have a take on it that's new and exciting, I'm happy to go there if you go there.
Cool. And final question here from Glenuccio says, "What's that special key to making a truly scary horror film? One that just sticks in the viewer's mind for a while?"
Well, I mean, if I could bottle that, right? I'm not saying, I wouldn't be here, because I would be here, but it's that you could sell that, because what is that recipe? When you get into making movies, and some of you obviously probably do or watch so many movies that you could go off and make one, or you just love them and you understand how they're made, or have seen behind the scenes, or you just still get that wave of watching it for the first time, and you don't know so much about how it is made, but know how it makes you feel. Any of those people, that it's a very, it's what looks so fresh and different and of the moment can often be an exact science, just like comedy. Why is comedy so hard to do? Sometimes what is scary is the difference between one frame, and there's 24 frames a second going by, and the difference between one frame or 3 frames is the thing that makes you jump or not jump, or feel some dread growing. I love, I love a good jump scare. I love a high body count. I love a bucket of blood, but I also love movies that have very limited, but the psychological horror is there, and the dread that builds. Someone asked me the other day, well, what's my favorite horror movie? And I was like, I don't know. I admire, I love Psycho, and I admire The Shining so much, because how do you make a movie that's scary when it takes place during the daytime? One of the not easiest things to do. And somehow Kubrick creates an atmosphere where you feel unnerved, at least a lot of the time. And that's not an easy thing to do. As I found out, even with The Wicker Man, a lot of that took place during the day. And I went, oh, so this is why you don't make horror films during the day as much, because it's not as scary. So, I mean, you learn as you go. But but a movie like Jaws, that when they took what was a disadvantage, that the shark wasn't working that well, and said, well, then damn it, we're not going to show the shark as much, but you are going to fear that thing from the beginning of the movie. Brilliant. And I mean, great movie, still love it. Ruined swimming for me forever. Still to this day, like swimming pools, bathtubs, it just, deep water, ruined. But a fantastic movie that if you watch that, the way that he through music and sound and what he doesn't show and does show ratchets up the terror. It's a masterclass. So that's a person right there, Spielberg, who, I don't know of anybody who moves the camera any better than that person.
Do you have time for a few more comments, questions? Okay. One BLK Talon says, in the company of men, some scenes shot in Fort Wayne.
Some scenes, meaning all scenes. That movie was shot in Fort Wayne in its entirety. I'm trying to think if there was any scene that wasn't. Excuse me. No. I mean, Fort Wayne Airport. Yeah, all Fort Wayne.
Cool. And then Jay Gar says, my family is from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Was there anything about that area that you enjoyed while filming?
Yeah, I didn't know the area and really did enjoy it. It was, I didn't realize it was a college town, and I have an affinity for college towns, and there was good food. We hit a lot of rain, and also we were working, as I mentioned earlier, at night. So, your day starts, your part of your day is already gone, and you're waking up and thinking about the next day. So I didn't, it wasn't like a vacation really, but the setting was beautiful. And I got some really good food while I was there, and had a really nice crew. Really, good people who knew what they were doing, but really still not jaded. Loved it. Enjoyed coming to work, and that's a blessing whenever you have a crew who wants to be there, because you don't think of it in like the arts, if you put it in quotes, that you're going to run into people who it's just a job. But occasionally you do. And, that person often sticks out. They're just waiting for lunch. They just want their paycheck. And I don't feel that same way. So it's hard to work with someone like that who doesn't love it the same way you do. And so I felt like I was surrounded by people who loved what they did. And that was a good feeling.
It is an interesting question here from Christopher Miller. Does it help you psychologically when you make something dark to deal with real life? Kind of like a musician writing a song to release it from themselves?
Interesting. I don't know. I guess so. I have just a really good, healthy sense of, this is fiction and this is life. And so I can watch lots of dark stuff and not drag it over into my life. It doesn't make me want to go out and do the same thing necessarily, or I can compartmentalize pretty easily in the same way of creating those things. I tend not to be a writer who pulls from their own life. So it isn't like I had all these dark things happen, and therefore I have to put them on paper and it's going to help me. There's a couple of pieces that I've probably had experiences that allowed me to access stories more directly or closely because I've had some experience in that world, but only a couple. It's usually, the old, I've got to use my imagination and create a story and hope that whole thing holds water and works. So it's not me, using theater as therapy or films as a way to work out my demons. It's simply, where do the writing gods, where do the muses take you? When you come up with a story and you bash it around in your head for a while until you go, yeah, no, I think it's a good one. I think I'm going to write that. I tend not to question those things and go, oh gosh, is that some memory I'm drawing up from my childhood? I go, no, there's a good story there and I'm going to tell it. So it's, I tend not to think that it's, it's freeing in that way. It's just simply part of the job to try and me tell you a good story and you say, out of all the shit that's out there, I'm going to go listen to yours tonight, or go to the theater or go to a cinema and that's a big job, that you're taking somebody's time up and taking their money. So hopefully you provide something worthwhile.
Well, Neil, I want to thank you for spending time on the Film Threat livecast here. Fellow Detroiter, I didn't realize you were in the Michigan Mafia.
There you go.
I don't know if you've heard that term, Michigan Mafia.
I have heard. Yeah, my father was from the UP, so that's an even scarier group. Frankly, they would make mincemeat of that mafia. That was the Upper Peninsula is an interesting place, but yeah, my brother and I were both born in Detroit.
That's great. Congratulations on the new film. House of Darkness is in theaters now, and it's also coming to VOD shortly. So look that up. You're getting a lot of love in the chat here. George Glass, great interview. Andrea, Susie, thank you, Neil. Akanik, appreciate your time and thoughtful answers, Neil. Goober says that was so insightful. Thanks. So
thank
Neil,
you.
Yeah. And Neil, when you have another movie, just please come back. We'd love
that.
To
That
have
would be a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Great to talk to you.
Awesome. All right. Take care, Neil. Thanks again.
So long.
Later. Bye now. That was awesome. What a great dude. That was great. Still getting all this love. I will see his movie. Thanks, Neil. People going with the comments here. This is great. Yeah, definitely check it out. You can have kind of a Justin Long double feature. You can see House of Darkness, and then you can also see Barbarian. And Justin Long is just love that actor. It was great. Patrick Lemire says it was an honor for us to be joined by Neil LaBute. Thank you. So there you go. That's great. All right. We're going to be wrapping it up here soon. Just quick reminders to support the channel. You can go to shop.filmthreat.com. You can't buy this shirt. This shirt is not available there, but you can buy all sorts of other merch, and I appreciate that. We are looking for some more help on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in being someone who kind of helps us filter the comments and whatnot, I've learned recently that some of the people who work on the channel have personal lives. I can't believe I just discovered this. How did I, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we could use some help on the channel every once in a while. So go to filmthreat.com/contact. We also have some other comments here from our earlier conversation about the Rings of Power. And so let's get those. Wait, Scott Slaughterbeck says, pound that like button. Absolutely. If you pound the like button and share and subscribe, you'll be rewarded with videos, all sorts of videos. Maybe I don't know, maybe a video like, say, this one. Wait, where is it? This.
Finish him.
Oh, my jeans. So pound that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not.
Oh, wow.
All right, back to our comments here. Thanks, Scott, for that reminder. Fear the Turtle 21 is a member. Thank you for that. Diversity is great. Having different ethnicities is not a problem. Yes, this has not been a problem for a long time. Not been a problem for a long time. I think, I never really noticed it until people have started pointing it out. It's weird. The problem is when producers and writers smell their own farts for having a diverse cast. Just do it and people won't think about it. Yeah, I mean, there was maybe some chatter about House of the Dragon at the beginning, but I think I really like the Valerian. Like, I like that they have a look. It's kind of cool. We'll talk about House of the Dragon. We'll talk about the new one. I'm looking forward to that next Wednesday. The Not So Smart Fox says, I only pound the like button when Alan's nipples are around. All right. So, and Shelby AC says, haha, Alan takes a lot of crap on Film Threat. At what point does he snap? He doesn't. Look, Alan and I, well, at least I know I've been around like writing and commenting on film for a long time, and I've been attacked for my opinions. Sometimes I tend to not kind of go with the flow always, but, and I feel like my mission is really to tell you about movies you would not have known about had you not heard about them from myself. Movies like RRR, which is the middle bingo space. We should make a real Film Threat bingo card. What would be on that card? We're gonna make that. Glenn, we're gonna make that a Film Threat bingo card, and we'll post it. We'll post it in our community tab for everybody. But yeah, no, and Alan too, like, you know, like we do reviews on filmthreat.com, and there are ones. Oh my God, we did a review of a movie once. It got kind of a mixed review, not a bad review, but a mixed review. It was called American Circumcision. Look it up on filmthreat.com. American Circumcision. The comments underneath, it started an entire controversy. People tried to cancel Film Threat. This happens about, like, I'd say not that often, but maybe like every 6 months or so, there'll be someone so mad about their review that they just get angry and they'll post comments. Another review, you got to look up this review on Film Threat. It's called Mute Date, which I didn't think was too terrible of a movie. I think it got like a 3 or something. It got a bad review, and it's on Prime Video on Amazon. But this movie, Mute Date, is about a couple that goes on a date, but they're testing a new drug that allows them to read each other's minds. And so the entire date, there's no talking. It's just subtitles. It's like, it's weird. And, or no, do they talk and you can hear it, but their mouths don't move? Anyways, so it got a bad review, and then the director chimed in on the review, and the comment thread, when someone gets pissed off about something, we do filter our comments. Basically, we just approve them, you know, as long as there's no spam or attack, like a personal attack or whatever. But yeah, the director chimed in on the Mute Date review, and it was kind of hysterical. And then the guy who wrote the review chimed in, and then I chimed in, and it was fun. So there you go. And Akanika says, don't feed the trolls, classic internet survival guide. Yeah, I generally just don't respond to people. So I post and ghost on Twitter, and, you know, I mean, for me, it's just like, here's a thought that I had, boom. And then I just walk away. Anyways, want to thank everybody in the chat today. You were on fire. I want to also thank Flaccid Phoenix and Glanuccio for their hard work behind the scenes. This was a big show today. Alan's out at D23. I can't wait to hear. I hope he's in that Marvel. I know he's going to the Marvel panel, so I can't wait to see what he gets. I wonder if they'll confiscate his phone. I don't know. I'll be texting him. But everyone, let's go with what John Manalang is saying. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. Yes, please. And I thank you. We're growing an audience here. It used to be Alan and I would get excited if we got almost 100 people. It's like, oh my God, 50 people are watching us live. We are consistently getting like more than 300 people. I think we had like 900 when we did episode 1 and 2 of the Rings of Power. And I really appreciate it. I hope that you like what we're presenting, you know, not just covering, you know, the 2 big series right now, but also introducing you to some smaller indie movies that are worth checking out. I believe House of Darkness comes out on VOD next Tuesday, the 13th. So there you go. All right. Did I forget anything? Oh, Alan's not here. And Dempsey says plungers, plungers, plungers. Yeah, let's end with that, because I know everybody loves it. Everybody loves when we see Alan do that. Thank you all. We will see you next Wednesday. We're going to be talking House of the Dragon. We'll probably continue talking about Rings of Power, especially if this situation continues on Twitter. The thing that gives me faith is reading the comments on the Twitter thread where they, it just, you know, stop blaming the fans. Stop blaming the fans for your show that's terrible. There are countless shows with diverse casts. Okay. Nobody cares. That's not the thing that's wrong with the show. I believe the 2 main things that are wrong with the show is, 1, inexperienced showrunners and the pace at which they've decided to unfold the story. It's poorly written. Most things are overwritten or just sound off. It's not Tolkien. It's not Tolkien, and that matters to Tolkien purists. I'm not a Tolkien purist, but this just seems like it doesn't recapture the magic of what Peter Jackson was able to bring to it. We will be continuing that discussion, and have a great weekend, everyone. Go see a movie. My recommendation, go see Barbarian, also see House of Darkness, make it a double feature, and that's it. I'm out. Let's get out of here.